I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of April 6, 2023 to order at 6 o'clock p.m. and ask Clerk Kaczynski for a roll call, please.
Mayor Gunter.
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Yes, here.
Trustee Guzzo.
Here.
Trustee Little.
Here.
Trustee Nero.
Here.
Trustee Simonovich.
Here.
Attorney Zimonek.
Here.
Manager May.
Here.
Assistant Manager Parker.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I want to welcome everyone. The first item on the agenda is open forum. No one's here for the open forum. They're here for an agenda item, so I'll close open forum and move on to reports. My report is first of all, I want to congratulate everyone who ran for a great election and to congratulate the 3 trustees who will remain on the board, and also for those who ran and any other elected official in this community. So it was a good election. I think everything turned out well in the community. I didn't hear any voting problems. So again, congratulations to everyone who was elected. The community awards from the chamber is Monday, April 24th at the Hilton. It's including award presentations by several community groups, the Village Chamber, Knights of Columbus, American Legion, Rotary, and more. Go to the Westmont Chamber website for tickets. We have a big event coming to the Natatorium FMC swimming event. USA Swimming is hosting 2023 TYR Pro Swim Series in Westmont, April the 12th through the 15th at the Natatorium at Tidewater Park. They're expecting over 450 swimmers from 19 countries. I mean, this is huge for our community as far as our hotels and restaurants. This event is an official qualifier for the U.S. Olympic swim team trials for the 2024 Olympics in Paris. For tickets and more information, visit the DuPage County Visitors Bureau website. And the Lions Club, which several of us are members of, will be having their spring fling, Memorial Day weekend, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on that Sunday will be the Race to the Flag. The Park District will be running, which benefits People's Resource Center. So if you want more details, visit the Lions and the Park District's websites. And I'll move on to Clerk Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to remind everybody that village offices are closed April 7th to the public. Regular business hours will resume on Monday, April 10th. So that's all I have tonight.
All right. Trustee Simonovich, Police Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's meeting was really just an executive session to discuss collective negotiating matters. So nothing to really report from tonight's public safety meeting. The steering wheel locks, the police department continues to give those away by the Hyundai Motor America to Westmont residents who own specific Kia and Hyundai cars due to a recent spike in thefts of these vehicles. More information is on the village website if you own such a vehicle. The police department also has a couple of upcoming events. Drug Take Back Day will be April 22nd. Cop on a Rooftop, May 19th, and the Paper Shred event, May 20th. For more details on these events, please visit the village website. Thank you.
Thank you. We got Trustee Brady, Community Development.
Downtown Incentive Program, the consultants and a working group for the proposed downtown incentive program met on April 3rd. It will meet again on April 20th. The working group hopes to have a proposal for the May 4th meeting by the Community Development Committee. Regarding planning and zoning, the April 12th meeting has been canceled for lack of agenda, and the next meeting is scheduled for May 10th. That's all of Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And we're going to go to trustee Johanna Guzzo, Fire, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Citizens Fire Academy, there are still openings for the Spring Citizens Fire Academy. Information can be found on the village website, and the classes kick off next week, April 12th, so there's still time to sign up. Then, as everyone probably knows, the Westmont Fire Department will be celebrating its 100th anniversary. Yay! There's a pancake breakfast and swap meet. This event is going to be open to the public and is being planned for Saturday, May 20th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the bay floor of the Fire Police Facility at 500 North Cass Avenue. More details will be forthcoming. And I want to also remind everyone, the last Knights of Columbus Fish Fry is tomorrow. If anyone doesn't know where the Knights of Columbus is, it's 25 North Cass Avenue, and they host the fish fry from 5 to 8. So please, if you have time and you want to get a good fish dinner, stop by. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And we got trustee Barker, Environmental Improvement Committee, and Westmont First Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a meeting on Monday night here in Village Hall, and there's quite a number of topics here, so I'm just going to go through them. One of the things we're looking at is what's called a laundromat library. We have an EIC member, Kimberly Bell, who's volunteered to work with a scarce organization to coordinate the placing of free books at libraries in Westmont. Not libraries, at laundromats in Westmont. 11 other DuPage communities have these, and Westmont will, hopefully will have some success in doing that here. It puts books in the hands of children that are at the laundromats that wouldn't necessarily get them at the library. So it's an opportunity to use donated books rather than putting them in a landfill. They do a nice, Scarce does a real nice job with that. The Westmont Library and Garden Club Expo is May 20th, and the EIC will have a table there to participate in that Garden Club Expo at the library on May 20th. There's more details coming soon. Community solar, the EIC talked about a community solar program in which communities can establish a relationship with energy suppliers to get their energy from solar power, and then residents have an opportunity to connect directly with that energy provider so to support solar energy as well as possibly take advantage of cost-saving benefits. Staff is looking into this and will get more information and get back to everyone. The electronics and more recycling event has been moved. The location now here is out here in front of Village Hall in the lot across the street. And that is April 15th from 8 to noon. There's additional details at the village website. That is Saturday. And we thank the EIC and EMA members who volunteered to help that. And then lastly, the No Multa Mother's Day program is going well. We have over 200 residents signed up, but you still can sign up for that via the village website. And I have to say, in my backyard, I'm ready to mow this weekend. So Mother's Day is going to be a stretch, but that's a great program, and the community's embracing it.
Good.
That is all.
Well, thank you. And then we don't have code enforcement. Anybody complaining about it if you got to sign up. But what if someone alters that sign and changed the MO to Father's Day? I've seen someone who changed it to Father's Day.
We should send a PDO.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Trustee Little, Administration Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The next Administration Finance Committee meeting has been rescheduled for April 20th at 4:30 right here in Village Hall. Our budget meeting will be April the 13th, where Finance Director Cunningham and Assistant Village Manager Parker will present the proposed budget for 2023 and 2024. Muddy Warhol contest update. We have over 40 submissions already received for the Muddy Warhol contest. These submissions will now be reviewed and selections will be made for the exhibit that will be featured in the Muddy Waters exhibit at the Muddy Water and the Westmont Special Events Office in Westmont Center. More details will be announced soon. And cruising nights, believe it or not, we're only 8 weeks away from our first cruising night event. This year we'll have 14 consecutive weeks of cruising nights in downtown Westmont every Thursday night from 5 to 9 throughout the months of June, July, and August. Cruising nights brings thousands and thousands of guests to Westmont every week and features 2 live bands, vendors and commercial booths, promotions from local organizations, and much more. For more information, visit westmontevents.com. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Nero, Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I know you said it, but I just wanted to thank all the voters who came out. It was great to see that turnout. I don't know how far back the results can go, but as far as I could see on the county, it was the most votes ever in Westmont, and that's pretty cool. And the results came in, obviously, the way that the team wanted, and that's pretty cool, too. But the voters did get it right, I think, and I do applaud everybody that did run. But, you know, hey, it's exciting to be here for another 4 years, and congrats to Marie and Linda, and thank you to everybody that did vote. I've been on the other side where the voters don't get it right, and the message was received from, I think, this village. They heard us, they saw what we've done, I think, over the past decade with your leadership, Mayor, and they like it. So let's keep this team spirit going. I mean, this is exciting, and we got a hell of a board. So I'm grateful to be here and very fortunate, and I just honestly thank you to entire Westmont. They got it right. But back to work we go. Public Works Committee, brush yard waste and compost programs are fired back up. They just resumed this past Monday. Details are on the village website. Free leaf collection start next week through the 14th, so the 10th through the 14th. This collection is for leaves only, and leaves must be placed in craft paper bags. Details are on our website. And last but not least, tree seedling giveaway, again, is going to be on Arbor Day, April 28th. It's at the library. There's details on the village website if you'd like to sign up. And that is all I have, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and we'll move on to the agenda. The items to be removed from the consent agenda. Anybody have? If not, I'd ask Manager May to please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda this evening begins with Village Board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the Village Board meeting held March 23rd, 2023. Next are executive session minutes. Board to consider a motion to accept, approve, and release the following executive session minutes with exceptions as noted, and there's a short list of dates and paragraphs that I will not read unless somebody wants those all read in. But they're published on the agenda. It's followed by Finance Ordinance number 24 in the amount of $1,484,845.51. Brings us to purchase orders. First purchase order is Engineering Solutions, $67,280. There is a change order for that design engineering for the West 57th Street storm sewer, it's storm sewer improvements, and for the design engineering. So this dollar amount is the new dollar amount. The change order was just $8,280. I shouldn't say just $8,000. That's still $8,000. But next purchase order is Utility Dynamics, $477,927.16. This represents the purchase order for the contract that was already awarded for the Pasquinelli street lighting project, and also includes change order number 1 for $45,589.16 for the dark sky fixtures that will be included in that project. So the purchase order amount was, again, the total amount. Swallow Construction, $25,326.82. That represents the emergency repair services required at 60th and Wilmette after that event. Total of the purchase orders was $570,533.98. That brings the total of the purchase orders together with Finance Ordinance number 24 to $2,055,379.49. We have 2 proclamations. First one is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, or to consider a proclamation to declare April 9th through 15th, 2023, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Westmont, Illinois. Next, Board to consider a proclamation to declare April 16 through 22 of 2023 as National Volunteer Week in Westmont. Lastly, on the consent agenda is it's a resolution. Board to consider a resolution to support the Environmental Improvement Committee program, No Mow Till Mother's Day, that we do annually. And that completes the consent agenda.
I need a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve is presented. Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion been made second. Any comments? Trustee Barker.
Mayor, as you know, but I just want to say it, Westmont has great volunteers. And one of the pieces of Westmont First is to volunteer in your community. And I urge everybody to get engaged in the community and volunteer. Since we have a busy season coming up, they could use the help. But it's very important that you volunteer and stay involved in your community.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Couldn't agree with you more. And on the proclamation, we, if anybody is here from that, any organization, we pull it off and read it. But at this point, there was no one here. So any other comments? I'd have a roll call, please.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Didn't me, yes.
Yes.
She coughed at like the same time, I couldn't hear.
Motion passes. We'll move on to new business. A B1 permit, Tokyo Restaurant at 15 West Quincy Street. Board to consider an ordinance approving a B1 development permit for Tokyo One LLC to operate a restaurant at 15 West Quincy Street. I believe this is the old Dolce's location. So we got Director Pollack to give us some additional information.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees. I'd like to introduce Mike Waway, who is here as the business owner. He is proposing to open a restaurant in downtown Westmont and is looking for your approval of the B1 permit.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Mike and Galway. So I like Westmont pretty much. I like it to open like a small woman sushi restaurant in Westmont.
Do you have any, what your hours would be, or?
Our most 11 till 10.
And go ahead, Trustee.
When do you think you'll get started? You started construction yet, and you think you're?
Not
you'll
yet.
get
I
it
still
open?
wait for the work permit. And so when it's starting soon, we try as soon as possible. Yeah, we try to bring we had over 25-year experience for the a sushi. And we do a nice quality, downtown quality sushi of the Westmont.
Well, there was a sushi place that they ended up closing, and everybody loved it, so we're.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Little?
Second.
Motion made, second to approve the B1 permit. Any comments from anybody? Seeing none? Yes? No?
I'm just excited to see that strip of restaurants.
And with the outdoor dining coming soon, it's a great place to fill that whole dining spot. And Whiskey Hill is working on getting permit now. They're meeting with Deputy Liquor Commissioner Mulher on Monday, so we're looking for that restaurant to open soon too. So we'll have 4 with the coffee
Sampling
shop.
of different types of food. and-
Yes. Roll call, please.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Motion passes. Welcome. We'll look forward to your opening.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Westmont.
New business B, contract for consultant services, the Westmont zoning ordinance update. Board to consider ordinance approving a contract with James Duncan and Associates to evaluate and recommend updates of the Village of Westmont zoning ordinance. And Director Powell.
Thank you. The board had directed the village staff last year to begin the process of hiring a consultant to update our zoning ordinance. In January of this year, we distributed a request for proposals. We got, I believe, 5 proposals were received. After review by staff, 3 consultants were selected for interviews. And upon the conclusion of those interviews during the month of February, the staff is recommending that the village board enter into a contract with Duncan and Associates to prepare the zoning ordinance update. Assuming the contract is approved, they would begin work in May. I expect a 12 to 18-month time period to complete the project. And the project will focus on updating, cleaning up the zoning ordinance, but also have a heavy focus on downtown zoning. Staff is recommending Duncan because we felt they were the best fit for Westmont. They understood the scope of the project, and they have a partner, Codometrics, which is very good with the graphics and has experience doing downtown zoning. By reference, they updated the Downers Grove zoning ordinance a few years ago. We reviewed that. We're very impressed with that project. And now I'd like to introduce Kirk Bishop from Duncan and Associates to tell you a little bit about their firm and the project.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, Mayor, trustees. My name is Kirk Bishop, principal with Duncan Associates. A little bit hesitant to go too far into the weeds tonight. My friends in real estate tell me never talk past the close, and I feel like we're pretty close here. So, but in any case, we're very excited to have made it this far in the process. Felt like we had good chemistry with your staff during the interview process. We've had an opportunity to look through various plans and ordinances that you have now, and I think we have a good starting point and good handle initially on the kinds of modernization issues that Doug mentioned, focusing on making the ordinance and the regulations as easy to use as possible, aligning them more closely with your adopted comprehensive plan and your other plans and policies of this body. We're going to work closely with your staff to identify issues that need to be addressed, not try and fix things that aren't broken. I think there'll be a lot of elements of the existing zoning that carry over, but we do know that I think it's been 45 years since the last sort of comprehensive overhaul of the regulations, and that's really what this is. So understandably, there's a need to bring maybe some new tools to bear. Doug mentioned that our partner on this project, a firm called Codometrics, led by Leslie Oberholzer, who's on a family vacation or would have joined me tonight, will be focusing on the downtown, and she's got a lot of experience working in downtowns and station areas around metro stops and the like throughout the region and locally. We anticipate a pretty robust and transparent process, bringing folks to the table to tell them that we're going to start this project, listen to their ideas about the types of issues that they hope will be addressed, not only your boards and commissions and committees and your body, but just citizens who work with the code on a regular basis or have an interest in planning and zoning matters. So we'll do that. In the beginning of the process, we'll work closely as we develop drafts with the Planning and Zoning Commission, anticipating kind of regular updates to you all about our progress and regular kind of check-ins with you to talk about that. We're looking at probably about a year, I think is probably the most optimistic. Sometimes these things go for 12 to 15 months. We'll work as quickly as possible, but don't want to shortchange the process or people's ability to participate. Again, we're very excited to work with you all, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you know how long Downers, when you did Downers, how long was it since they did it?
That was about a 15-month project. I was the project director for that project, as I will be for this one, which means not only will I be representing the project at meetings with my colleague Leslie, but doing the work back in our office. We have very small firms and kind of principal-led work, so we're not farming the work out. So it's, I think Downers was about a 15-month project.
And do you know when the last time Downers was passed? I just want to know if for 45 years is kind of common in this area.
It's not uncommon.
Okay.
Let me say that. It's not unusual for us to work in jurisdictions that haven't had an opportunity to take a deep breath and step back for decades. 70s was kind of seems like a very robust time for these kinds of things to be done. And so, yeah, you're not uncommon at all.
And I know we've come across several of those conflicts. Trustee Barker.
I just wanted to say that, you had mentioned the comprehensive plan. We've talked about, the age of the comprehensive plan. There's a couple of things in the comprehensive plan that are maybe not as they should be. So when I hear it, I'm going, we understand that we would like to redo that at some point and create a new one because of the age of it. So I've heard some issues, when we're dealing with the project at the golf course and open space and all of that was a problem. How it was defined and, the planning and zoning did a great job getting into the weeds on all of that. But then to me, that's a guide document. That's not the reality of what we live in.
Understood. And your staff apprised us of that in the interview session and said that there was some discussion about whether to maybe redo the comprehensive plan before, put this on hold. But I think the kinds of day-to-day issues that you as a community face in terms of development pressures and redevelopment and building reuse things sort of dictated that maybe we get out ahead of it, recognizing that you'll probably be following up quick on the heels of it with the comp plan. So we'll take the comp plan element as the guide that you mentioned, and I'm sure that the staff can help us recognize elements that maybe are less of a current guide than they were 7-8 years ago when you did it.
Thank you.
Of course.
Mayor, just
Yes.
a quick question. I appreciate your response and proposal. I think it's fair from a pricing standpoint, but I'm curious on the public involvement. You touched on it. What's kind of the plan there? I've never been through a zoning code update, but I think it's important to have all stakeholders involved, not just us, but the contractors, the business owners, the property owners. What's kind of your plan of attack for that?
Well, in all honesty, the plan will be something, the details of which will be kind of hashed out in early meetings with staff, but a few things that we anticipate. Giving the project a home on the city's website so that people can stay apprised of projects, future meetings, opportunities to participate. In the early phases of the project, we typically hold some small group listening sessions with business owners, development representatives, elected and appointed officials for that matter, and citizens who just have an interest. So we'd sit down early on and just to say, we're starting this project out, we're all ears, what are the types of things you hope? During that initial phase of work would culminate an initial report prior to ever putting pen to paper to actually work on the draft with a kind of big picture conceptually, what are the direction, what are the kinds of issues that we're going to address? And then we would hold a meeting, public meeting, and let people know and have another opportunity to sort of tell us if we heard everyone correctly in terms of the priority issues. Then in the middle stages of the project, that'll be kind of the drafting stage where we're working in our office, giving drafts to staff. Those drafts then reviewed by Planning and Zoning Commission and others for feedback. And of course, those would be opportunities for the public to at least attend meetings and make comments. And then once we have a solid public review draft ready, we would hold probably open houses, invite citizens in during convenient times to let them understand the types of changes that are being proposed, what's not being changed, and give them another opportunity to participate. We're going to we'll do a lot of the meetings, probably the majority face-to-face public meetings, but we also have learned over the past 3 years that for some people, participating in virtual meetings can be a convenient way to participate with family obligations and all sorts of pressures in our lives. So we'll probably mix in a few virtual opportunities to participate as well. And then at the end of the project, of course, public hearings, another opportunity for folks to have their say.
Good. No, I'm glad you're going to do some of the remote options too. That'll be helpful. And maybe, Mayor, if we could have our communications department help get that information out. And the last thing we need is a public forum with one person sitting in here. I mean, this is the time for everybody to get involved. And think about all the complaints over the past decade. Here's our time. If the residents think there's an issue, let's talk about it. So that's great. I'm glad you got a lot of
Trustee
stuff.
Barker.
Yeah, just a follow-up. So you worked on the Downers Grove plan. Can you give us an example of something that Downers Grove did that was innovative and new versus, it's almost like traditional.
First steal it and then tell us later.
Since he drafted it, he's got
That's
some
true.
kind of right over it. So everybody gets kind of locked into the traditional things that we've always done, and you make a little bit of progress. What's happened that's innovative, that changed, and I kind of look at, and I don't know, I'm not a world traveler, but it seems like there's places in Europe or Asia that do things totally different than what we would do here. We keep hearing, we've been hearing this now for 10 years, that it's all about apartments and rentals. And nobody wants apartments and rentals based on a comp plan that says we have enough apartments and rentals. But then we also, and I've asked our attorney, everything that you own can be rented. They can't prevent it from being rented. So if it's a house or whatever. But if that's the case, then everything is in fact a rental or an apartment, or, you do the battle against an Airbnb. But what's innovative that Downers Grove has done, that's, they obviously are doing something right because they're pretty successful over there.
Well, you're asking me to go back a few years. I think we completed that project in probably 2018.
Anything that you're involved in, something that's new.
So, I think in today's world, the innovation is coming in the form of offering a wider variety of housing types within a zoning ordinance and not simply lumping things into single-family detached houses and apartment buildings, but kind of trying to fill in that middle of, attached townhouses.
We've heard a lot of middle lately.
Small, multi-unit house-like structures that contain multiple buildings. Accessory dwelling units, the ability to have either in the rear yard, in a basement, or above a garage. Some communities have embraced what are called accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, sometimes called mother-in-law units, carriage houses and the like, as a way to address housing affordability, keep people in their homes longer because maybe they have somebody to help them care for a larger property. There are a lot of innovations, or the world is fast changing when it comes to parking regulations and the effect that parking regulations have on things like stormwater management, the cost of development, fitting development into a community that's largely built out, and there's just not ample, not excessive space to accommodate all sorts of automobiles. So it's thinking about parking more broadly in terms of accessibility. How do we get people to a site, and how do they get there, and how do they access the site? So the housing, range of housing choices. Another thing we're going to be spending some time working with staff on, and there appear to be a few things in your ordinance that just don't quite fit what's on the ground, which leads to a lot of requests for variations in overall site coverage, building coverage, setbacks. Some setbacks may need to be calibrated. So we'll be spending some time looking at things that have been frequent requests for zoning relief, with the idea being that if the regulation doesn't fit broad swaths of what's on the ground in the community, maybe it's time to change that regulation as opposed to make everybody come in for a individual public hearing on the matter. So
More to come. Yeah.
More to come. The final thing I'll mention is our allied firm, Codometrics, and Leslie Oberholzer, who I mentioned, is very adept at these kind of downtown regulations that focus on the physical form of buildings, sometimes referred to as like form-based zoning, which takes some of the ideas from design guidelines and begins to turn those into more predictable, objective standards for how buildings should address the sidewalk within a downtown area or a transit-oriented area. So we're really fortunate to have her skill set in thinking about how the downtown can accommodate continued growth and vibrancy, but do so in a way that doesn't change the character that the community cherishes about the downtown, so.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Guzzo?
Second.
Motion been made and second. To approve, any additional comments? I just have a question. Planning and zoning will be getting this for the public to look at, but if the zoning is being changed, if someone's going from, a manufacturing to a residential, we'll be notifying those, like planning and zoning will send a letter to the radius, is that?
This is more of the content of what's in the zoning ordinance, not the zoning map.
Yeah, we don't anticipate that we're going to be doing widespread rezonings of people's property, but rather working on the book of rules. The RFP talked about a potential annexation of the Liberty Park area or something, and maybe a couple other areas, and that would be maybe a time that we would look at the zoning map. But I think as a general rule, our talking points to people is, don't be fearful that your property is going to be changed from residential to manufacturing or vice versa as part of that project.
And I know there's one thing that staff liked about the Downers Grove ordinance, and it's that for the use categories in each zoning district, instead of listing out 150 potential uses by, like a haberdashery and a pharmacy, that you classify uses by groups of uses or categories of uses and give a little allow staff to interpret whether a proposal fits within that general use category.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Motion passes. We look forward to having future meetings with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business C, an engineering agreement, Farmingdale Streetlights Phase 2 Design Engineering. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing an engineering agreement with Primera Engineering for Phase 2 Design Engineering Service for the Farmingdale Streetlight Improvement Project. Manager May.
The description describes it very well. Premier Engineering also serves as our village engineer, but when there's a project-based specific project, then we do a separate engineering proposal for that. So this engineering agreement is to design the reconstruction of the streetlight improvements throughout the Farmingdale subdivision, similar to what we did on Pasquinelli. There's two other areas that we have like types of troubles with a lot of outages, and it's not just replacing the streetlights and the equipment, but it's all the underground cabling too. And just to describe that briefly, it's because at the time these older subdivisions were built, it's called direct burial, and that wire is just stuck in the ground and subject to the conditions under the ground, and however many times it's been hit and spliced. So this will be adding conduit, to pull the wire through there too. So it's a complete reconstruction of the streetlight system. This is just the design only for this year.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Birdie.
Motion made, second. Trustee Barker.
I have to ask, Steve, how old are the lights?
Well, in Farmingdale was being built in like the mid-'80s, so roughly that old. If you drive through there, you'll see a mixture of if you remember, we had the concrete poles, and there's still a few of those out there. So we've got a mixture of equipment types from the various repairs over the years.
One of the things that I wanted to comment on is it possible, this is great improvement. The dark sky compliant fixtures are a great improvement, but we had heard that spacing of the bases, and if the bases are going to stay and we're just changing poles, there's that, I can't remember the name of the firm, but there's some architectural association that works with how far the poles are supposed to be spaced out, so you have even, consistent lighting across the neighborhood, not bright spots, dark spots, and all of that. Is that something that the engineers can look at, is the spacing, or are we, like Pasquinelli, we're using the same bases, makes perfect sense, it's affordable that way, it's a test case, and then we go into a neighborhood now, and if we're not moving bases, then I'm just interested in the difference between, what they did in 1980 versus what are we, if we had a chance to do a whole new neighborhood, what would that be? Would it be half the number of bases, half the number of poles? Or would it be
So there's
double?
many questions in there in that one topic. So first of all, to answer your question, this is a mixture of, so the ones that were replaced and new, the old concrete poles are just stuck in a hole in the ground. The metal poles have a concrete foundation and those stay there. So that will, however many of those there are, that will dictate what that spacing is. So if you were eliminating everything and disregarding all of that, you would actually end up with more. So what are the old habits? You put one at each intersection and then maybe one in the middle of the block, but it was more about lighting up the intersections than it was,
Right.
The roadways. So if you wanted consistent lighting, I mean, I can describe other examples in other communities, but you just put, like LaGrange uses the pedestrian height straight pole, and they're just run down every block, and it doesn't matter how it lines up with the corners or anything like that. They're lighting up the neighborhood and the street. But you use more poles, shorter, to get that even distribution. So it's actually more expensive, but, a good goal.
Yeah.
And that's not happening here.
It's not happening. Well, right, and, and that's the conversation, I guess, because we've heard about other neighborhoods that think their neighborhood is dark. And if we stick to what we used to do in the 80s, that problem never goes away. I've heard people on my block going, this is really dark on the street, and there's a few poles put in by the developer, but should it be consistent? At some point, never. And I understand we're not doing it.
No, it's a good point, but we also, the current standard we have is this pole, this type, this equipment, this spacing, depending on what, collectors are different than residential streets, are different than arterials. So, we look at that, but we're not really designing. If there was like a new subdivision going in, that'd be a great time to, to do that. This is replacement of.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Big repair.
I guess the question is, can the engineer in this fee, can they tell us what the difference would be? Without.
They can tell us.
Giving them another.
What the difference would be, it would not be for that fee. 2 weeks, I'll come back with change order number 1, and then we can, I'll find out what they think.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm asking is,
Yeah.
what's the difference between 1980 and 2020?
Yeah. A lot of things, right?
Yeah, you did. We're
Any
ready.
other comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo. Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to new business D, an engineering agreement, Phase 2 design engineering for proposed salt dome. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing an engineering agreement with Primera Engineering for Phase 2 design engineering service for a proposed new salt dome located on the village property at 328 South Wilmette, across from Trustee Little's house. Manager May.
Can you give out our social security number too? So this is the location of the old street division, Public Works Department site. We still own the property, we still operate it as a yard, but the structures that were there, all except one, were removed, and there's a concrete pad from it was actually the old facilities maintenance portion of that building. So this proposal is to design, it's a salt dome, but it's more the shelter barn style, so that we can, you've heard me describe before, our inability to to house our annual allotment of salt, so we're always at the, house it on site, so we're always ordering as we're using it and hoping we don't run out in any one snow event, of which this winter was not a good example, because I'm not sure we used any yet, so.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion been made, second to approve. Any comments? I do know that a lot of times we're allowing businesses to stage in there for any work that's being done in the village, for the village. So I think that's still available, right, manager?
You'd have to ask it again?
Like if somebody's doing work, water main work or anything from a private, we've allowed them to stage some of their equipment in.
In the yard?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, the large water main project that was down Des Moines and Richmond, this was a good place to, to keep it out of the right of way, keep the roads open, which is an issue that's coming up now with our Linden Avenue proposal, so that's contractor two will be storing materials at, I keep calling it street division, but.
But that's my point, it's a good place to do
Yes.
this. Any other comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes. Motion passes. New business E, approval of change order number 1, 57th Street Stormwater Improvement Project. Board to consider an ordinance approving the change order 1 to the 57th Street Stormwater Improvement Project, Phase 1 and Phase 2 engineering services to Engineering Solutions Team Incorporated for amount not to exceed $8,280 and a total award of $67,280. Manager May.
Mayor, this is the same item I described when we were approving the purchase orders under the consent agenda. The project is, although it's called stormwater, is a storm sewer extension, and it's the unimproved 57th Street right-of-way from Adams and 57th up east through the unimproved right-of-way into that neighborhood that would otherwise be dead-end 57th from Cass Avenue, and that's to allow us to address stormwater management issues throughout that tight little neighborhood in there. But this is just a storm sewer extension.
Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion made and second to approve the change order. Any additional comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes. Motion passes. New business F, award of bid proposal, 57th Street Storm Sewer Project. The board to consider ordinance awarding the bid proposal from H. Linden and Sons Sewer and Water Incorporated for the 57th Street Storm Sewer Project and authorizing a contract consistent with the accepted bid documents. Manager May.
So the same project, this is the last one was the engineering design changes. This is the actual construction of that improvement. The village accepted bid proposals from 3 contractors for the project. The low bidder was H. Linden and Sons Sewer and Water Incorporated with a low bid of $418,555. The low bid was approximately 0.3% lower than the engineer's estimate, which was $419,945. So we're recommending approval of that construction project.
We have a motion to approve?
Approve.
Second, Little?
Motion made and second to approve. Additional comments?
Mayor, just a quick
Yes,
question. Is
sure.
it safe to assume that when we do a stormwater sewer project, it is exclusively funded from our stormwater fund? Or does it?
Mostly. I mean, we try to do that, but there are some projects that might be a combination of that and the general fund, and
But the bulk always is from?
yeah,
That's great.
this probably wouldn't be done without that stormwater program.
Yeah, no, that's great, thanks.
And next Thursday night, we're going to look at the budget for the budget workshop, and we'll see some of that. They'll explain it to us. I hope, yeah, she is. She's shaking her head. Any other comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. Miscellaneous, anybody got anything? Trustee Brady?
Regarding the Pasquinelli wiring for the streetlights, the contractor is really moving rapidly. I thought they would be tearing up the street from Ogden Avenue to 35th, but what they're doing, they're taking rigid conduit under all of the business driveways, and they're already pulling a hollow type cable between the two underground. So I would say they're going to move very rapidly, we can see light before next fall.
Good, good. Again, short of wishing everybody a happy Easter, which is in a couple days, I do not have anything. Anybody else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, Little?
Brady? Brady, second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Okay, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.